Hello everyone, welcome back to the frozen sanctuary of truth, a place where the air is thin and the reality is jagged. You have spent years believing that the intimacy you shared was a bridge to a soul, only to find yourself standing on the edge of a bottomless abyss. Today, we perform the autopsy on the predator's most guarded weapon. Welcome to the narcissist's midnight. Prepare for the truth. For the narcissist, the bedroom is not a sanctuary, it is a clinical laboratory. You think you are sharing a moment of sacred connection, but you are actually being studied under a cold, surgical light. Every touch is a probe for a weakness, and every whisper is a line in a script designed to bypass your defenses. The predator is never more dangerous than when they are at their most tender. Have you ever felt that strange, vibrating tension in the air after the act is over? You are seeking the afterglow of peace, but you are met with a restless, predatory agitation. The narcissist cannot be still because the silence is a mirror that shows them their own nothingness. They move through the room like a caged animal, already searching for the next distraction to outrun the void. The big haunting question we are answering today is this: why does their intimacy feel like a spiritual heist? While you were looking for a soulmate, you were being handled by a frequency pirate. Their most dangerous habits are not physical, they are biochemical. They are siphoning the vital marrow from your spirit to fuel a false identity that would otherwise collapse in the dark. You've spent years wondering why they pick a fight right after being close, or why they turn into a total stranger before the sheets are even cold. It isn't just about control, it is about the transfer. They are offloading their internal toxic waste into your nervous system. They walk away looking refreshed and young, while you are left feeling heavy, aged, and inexplicably hollow. This is the secret knowledge the predator never wanted you to find. They want you to believe they are the ones who hold the power, that they are the gods of seduction. But the truth is, they are more dependent on your reaction than a junkie is on a needle. Their dangerous habits are actually survival tactics for a soul that has completely lost its ability to generate its own light. Imagine the psychological weight of being a person who only exists if someone else is reacting to them. That is the narcissist's internal landscape. When the lights go out, their mirror goes dark. They are left alone with the one person they hate more than anyone else, the hollow child hiding behind the mask. The night is the mirror that refuses to lie, and the narcissist is terrified. They crave the high of the harvest, but they are biologically incapable of processing the energy they steal. Every conquest is just a temporary bandage on a wound that is festering in their soul. As the adrenaline of the hunt fades, the internal rot begins to manifest. They are biohazards of unprocessed trauma, carrying the residue of everyone they have ever used and discarded. Stay with me, because we are about to pull back the heavy curtains on the narcissist's internal famine. We are going to expose the hidden fears that make their sexual habits a lethal game of Russian roulette. This is not just a story, it is a clinical breakdown of an unraveling ego. You will never look at their performance the same way again. The power is shifting back to you now. This first chapter is your sanctuary of clarity. You have been blaming your inadequacy for the coldness in the house, but the coldness is the narcissist's own internal decay. They lost the bet the moment you decided that your peace was more important than their dopamine hit. As we move into the breakdown, remember, their agony is the only honest thing they will ever truly own. To understand the narcissist's most dangerous habits, we must analyze the somatic machinery of a body without a core. A narcissist is a human-shaped void that requires a constant stream of external data to simulate a personality. In the bedroom, they are not seeking pleasure, they are performing a clinical extraction of your vital life force to power a lie they tell themselves. Metaphorically, the narcissist is a high-end hologram that requires a constant stream of data from the projector. You are that data. When the act is over and the lights are low, the image starts to glitch. By the time the silence settles, the projected image of the confident lover is flickering. You see the gray, petty child hiding in the pixels. This visibility is death to them. Their most dangerous habit is projective identification. During the act, they are not just taking, they are dumping. They are using you as a psychological kidney to filter the poison out of their system. They offload their shame, their rage, and their self-hatred into you through the medium of intimacy. This is why you walk away feeling dirty even when nothing vulgar occurred. We must talk about the narcissistic void as a spiritual hunger that eats character. Because they have no internal pilot, they are blown by the winds of external validation. When the physical supply is high, they feel inflated. But in the silence that follows, they flatline. This flatline is a psychic death. Their restlessness is the frantic attempt to find a new heart to pump. Imagine a star that has run out of hydrogen. It begins to contract and collapse under its own gravity. That is the narcissist in the aftermath of intimacy. They have burned through the supply you provided, and the void is calling them back. They pace because they are trying to outrun the darkness. They are isolated in a cold universe, even while they are lying right next to you. Their internal chaos is a static storm of suspicion. In the quiet, they start to project their own infidelity onto you. This is why they suddenly get mean or pick a fight after being close. They need to turn you into the abuser, so they can feel like the victim again. This roleplay is the only way they can avoid the mirror. They prefer a war zone over the peace of the truth. The narcissist is a somatic junkie who has worn out their nervous system. They have spent decades chasing the dopamine of conquest, but the law of diminishing returns has kicked in. The act you just shared gave them a smaller hit than the last one. Their reward circuitry is burned out. They are anhedonic, incapable of feeling peace. They are pacing their way to their own funeral. In the dark, the narcissist experiences what we call somatic dissociation. They literally lose the ability to feel their own skin without someone else touching it with worship. Without that worship, they feel like they are dissolving into the gray static of the void. This is the sexual disease of a soul that has completely lost its own center. They are ghosts in a human suit. Deep down, the narcissist finds human vulnerability to be repulsive. It reminds them of their own fragility. They despise you for loving them. But in the state of nocturnal famine, the disgust is splashbacking. They are disgusted by their own face in the mirror. They are drowning in a sea of self-loathing, and every hand they reach for is a hand they previously bit very hard. The psychological breakdown reveals an abuser as a closed system running out of entropy. They are cooling down to absolute zero. Their restlessness is the final, frantic motion before the freeze. As we move into the turning point, you will see what happens when the empath finally switches off the lights. You are going to see the power shift from the ghost to the sovereign sun. The dramatic turning point arrives when the host finally becomes toxic to the parasite. It happens the moment you lie there and realize the performance is mechanical. You stop providing the reaction they crave. You become a still, dark lake that refuses to reflect their fake grandiosity. This is the moment the power snatches back to your center with a violent and silent snap. Watch the narcissists panic when the mirror refuses to reflect. They are addicts who have just been cut off by their dealer. They will try a hysterical Hoover, crying fake tears and promising heaven and earth just to see if the old strings still pull. But you are not moving. This stillness is traumatic to the predator. They scent their own irrelevance. They realize you are gone. This is the moment of internal sovereign alignment where you realize the abuse was a filter they placed over your eyes. You take the filter off and see the abuser for what they actually are, a small, frightened, empty shell screaming for attention. The rot is visible now. You don't feel anger anymore, you feel clinical observation. You are the scientist now, and they are the lab. When rage fails, they pivot to strategic victimhood. They will invent illnesses, financial crises, or family dramas to guilt-trip you into resuming the connection. They are frantically trying to load the syringe of their shame and inject it into your compassion. But you see the calculation. You recognize the performance. By naming the demon, you strip its power and walk past it. The silence of the empath becomes the acid that accelerates the rot. Without your empathy to heal the wounds they self-inflict, the abuser's internal injuries fester. They start fighting with everyone else. They burn their own house down just to feel the heat. They are spiraling into chaos because they cannot exist without a calm center to disturb. You were that anchor for them. They attempt a malignant discard to save the last shred of their ego. They announce to the world that you are the problem, that you are the narcissist. This is a psychological confession of their internal failure. They are projecting their own death onto you. But you are relieved. You accept the discard like a lethal promotion. You watch them walk out and feel the density lift. Show the shift in the energetic signature of your life. The moment the abuser is gone, the space sanctifies. You strip the bed, you burn the sage, and you open the windows. You realize that the spiritual necrosis was a contagion they brought into your temple. Now that the carrier is gone, your vitality returns. You breathe into your center and feel the radiance of your own spirit. This is a psychological shift. You forgive the vessel for absorbing the rot. You realize your body was just trying to survive a toxic spill. You nurture the flesh with self-respect. You realize the relationship was a dark initiation that forced you to find your internal sword. You thank the trauma for breaking the mirror and revealing the sovereign. You have finally graduated. This is the moment of total detachment. You look at the past and you don't feel pain, you feel physics. You see the mechanism of the transfer. The abuser is a name you barely remember. They are a minor malfunction in the great machine of your evolution. The turning point is absolute. You are inhabiting your life with an intensity that is terrifying to the weak. You are home. As we move into the collapse, remember, the abuser depends on your reaction to stay 3D. By withdrawing your focus, you have deleted their existence in your universe. They are going to panic. They are going to burn their own world down to get your attention. But you are no longer the firefighter. You are watching the fire from the high ground, safe in your own sovereignty. The collapse of the narcissist is a spectacle of absolute void. When the empath stops absorbing the rot, the abuser's false self shatters from the internal pressure of its own nothingness. They experience narcissistic mortification, the psychic death they've been running from since childhood. You will see them acting out with manic recklessness. Their mask is melting like acid. Their social consequences are swift and public. As the recovered empath moves through the world with quiet dignity and icy indifference, the abuser's smear campaign evaporates into the stench of desperation. The truth has its own gravity. People start seeing the pattern of the withered victims the abuser leaves behind. You are the witness who survived the clinical autopsy. The internal panic of the abuser becomes a manic screaming for new supply that no longer exists in your space. They look for you in every face they exploit, but no one can reflect the God image you once gave them. They are starving for the high-grade empathy your sacred energy used to provide, but the pharmacy is permanently closed. They killed the golden goose for sport. Watch the harsh truth of their new life. They look old. They look gray. They look brittle. The life force they stole from you has expired, and they have no internal reactor to generate more. They are cursed to repeat the same loop with lesser and lesser souls until they draw their last breath. They are trapped in a body that is closing down, haunted by the memory of the sun. The tone is brutally cold and analytical. The abuser is a parasite that underestimated the resilience of the empath. By moving on spiritually, you have executed the predator. They are the walking dead, carrying the corpse of their own ego. They hate you for surviving their spiritual warfare. Every breath of peace you take is a poison to their delusion. They are collapsing. Internal panic leads to pathological stalking of your happiness. They analyze your every post, searching for a sign of pain, a sign of return. But they find nothing but strength. This strength is traumatic to the abuser. It debunks their God complex. It proves they are just a glitch in your evolution. They are screaming from the shadows, trying to cast a spell you don't hear. The social discard concludes with the final isolation. The flying monkeys have woken up. The family has distanced themselves. The abuser is left alone with the ghost of the one they couldn't destroy. This isolation is the mirror they feared their whole life. In the silence, they are forced to hear the echoes of their own lies. They are stroking the air where you used to be. Brutally truthful analysis. The abuser failed because they miscalculated the resilience of the spirit. They thought they could starve the empath, but they only forced the empath to hibernate and evolve. Once you wake up and retain your energy, you are invisible to their manipulation. The narcissist is a shadow that cannot exist in the presence of your internal solar truth. Intensify the collapse. You watch their disintegration with a sense of sacred justice. You don't feel vengeance, you feel order. You see that the world is actually safe because you are the one who defines your reality. The abuser's rage is a distant noise that no longer reaches your frequency. You are living at a depth they cannot reach. The monster is finally, clinically, dead. As we enter the final truth, look at the ruin of the abuser and realize, you are the winner. The rot was just the shell of your evolution. You have found the key. You have opened the door. You have walked into the world and the world recognized you. The final truth is cinematic, empowering, and saturated with radiance. The collapse is complete. The sunrise is now internal. We have reached the final truth. The most dangerous habit was never about what they did to your body, it was about how they convinced you that your light was theirs to take. But today, the debt is settled. You have realized that you were the sun and they were just a shadow trying to survive the dawn. You are taking your reflection back from the broken mirror of their existence. Emotional closure comes from the absolute knowledge that the abuser never existed as the person you loved. You were in love with a reflection of your own empathy. Today, you have taken the reflection back. You are closing the case file on the predator. You have realized that their hate was a badge of honor. A being of darkness will always hate the sun. You are the sun. Healing is the cinematic slow burn of presence. It is the feeling of the ground under your feet, the sound of your own voice telling the truth, and the sight of a future that is unwritten and safe. You are reprogramming your nervous system to expect beauty and respect. You are learning that empathy is a superpower, not a sentence. You are finding your soul in the quiet. Empowerment is the quiet strength of the empath who refused to stay defined by the predator. You have seen the bottom of the abyss and you brought back the fire. You are unshakable. The narcissist's screams from the shadows are just background noise in the symphony of your life. You have changed the frequency. You are tuned into the voice of the universe and the earth. You are part of a global awakening of sovereign empaths who are refusing to be supply. We are collective strength. We are spiritually invincible. The narcissist's obsession with your energy was the last stand of a dying parasite. The age of the predator is ending. The age of the authentic is beginning. Your voice is a siren of truth for others who are still shaking. 46. Imagine the final scene. You are standing on a mountain peak at dawn. The wind is blowing through your spirit, cleansing the last traces of the abuser's shadows. Below you, the dark valley of the narcissistic trap is dissolving in the light of the new day. Above you, the sky is exploding with colors you can finally see again. You are whole. You are complete. You are home. Cinematic closing imagery. The abuser is now a distant ghost, stalking the ruins of a life they burnt. They are screaming at the wind, begging the dust to become the host again. But the dust stays dust. You are flesh and blood, light and fire, moving at the speed of joy. You have found your tribe. You have found your peace. The spiritual necrosis was just a dark cocoon. The final truth deliverance. The narcissist tried to kill the empath because they were terrified of what would happen if the soul went sovereign. They wanted to keep you as a battery, but the battery exploded into a sun. You are magnificent. You are unstoppable. You have won the game by walking off the field. You have ascended beyond the manipulation. The ghost is dead. Reclaim your space. Reclaim your voice. Reclaim your right to walk the earth with confidence and dignity. The sexual killer, the psychological parasite, and the emotional arsonist have no power here in the presence of your light. Use it to warm your own life. Use it to create beauty. You are a generator of universal light, and the grid is restored. You are the master. The narcissist's dangerous habits are the biological debt they can never repay, but your victory is the radiant health that begins the moment you finally stop being their supply. Go forth and inhabit your life with the intensity that was meant to be yours all along. The act is over, the mask is shattered, and you are finally, irrevocably free.